com. But you're going to have to head to Cleveland to hear what's coming to town, to the Grammy Museum of Mississippi. We've got the Women in the Round, the original for a big night event. Joining us to tell us a little bit more is Miss Tricia Walker, one of our favorite people here on Good Things. Hey, Tricia.
Hey, Rebecca, how's it going?
It's going good. You know, I hadn't seen you since last year, so we need to... We definitely need to change that. How are things going in your neck of the woods, as they would say?
They are going great. It's getting a little warm here in the Delta, but, considering that cold winter we had, I'm not complaining at all.
No, I'll have to admit, the little bit warmer temperatures, I'm like, okay, I can stand this for a little while, which makes it for great weather for getting out for events, particularly those that we can enjoy with friends, which is exactly what you guys have coming up with another Women in the Round. So back up, give us the backstory. This has become an annual event there at the Grammy Museum in Cleveland. What inspired it?
Well, this Women in the Round group, we are a foursome of female songwriters that all used to live, well, they still live in Nashville. Of course, I'm in the Delta now. But for years, we would play what they call In the Round at the Bluebird Cafe, which is sitting in a circle and playing original songs. And we did our first show together in 1988, and we have continued to do it. And when I moved back to Mississippi, I was trying to help the area up here kind of understand what a songwriter show was. So I invited the gals down to do some benefits for us when I was over at the Delta Music Institute. And in the last 2 or 3 years, we've done them as a benefit, a fundraiser for GRAMMY Museum Mississippi. So, these are three of the best. You've got Pam Tillis, who is a star in her own right. You've got three-time Grammy winner Ashley Cleveland, who's kind of our rock and roller. And then finally, for the first time, we've been trying for years to get her down here, and the schedule finally worked out. We've got Nashville Songwriter Hall of Fame member Beth Nielsen Chapman is coming down. So it's going to be spectacular. It's going to be so much fun.
And it's different than a normal concert. There is singing, there is music, but from what I gather from you, Tricia, is there's also conversation and there's fellowship and there's a little bit more of an organic flow to it. So how does the whole event sort of go down?
Well, and like you said, it's much more of an intimate performance. Think of it like four of us sitting in your living room, just playing songs and talking and laughing a whole lot. The chemistry between the four of us I don't think I've ever seen it replicated with another songwriter group. So it's very intimate, and we're in the Grammy Museum Sanders Soundstage, which is about 150-seat theater, very intimate. And, we'll all tell stories about our songs and why we wrote this song and who's recorded this song. But it really is something special when you get to hear the songwriters perform their own material. I don't think it ever gets any better than that.
And also, I guess they would have the most connection to the inspiration of the song, right? It's different when you hear an artist who sung something written by somebody else. They have to connect to some form of emotion with it. But to hear Dolly Parton talk about some of the songs she's written that other artists have made famous, or, some of the other sort of things, it gives new perspective to the songs we've heard play on the radio. Will a lot of the songs played that night for Women in the Round are things we would be familiar with hearing also on the radio?
Oh, absolutely. Well, of course, Pam Tillis was an award-winning vocalist and artist in her own right. So, her songs like maybe it was Memphis or Put Yourself in My Place or Cleopatra, Queen of Denial, which is always one of my favorite ones. And then Beth, first timer down here, Beth, her biggest hit probably that the listeners would know, that she wrote This Kiss for Faith Hill, and a huge hit. And then she's had songs recorded by Willie Nelson. Elton John sang one of her songs. Yes, they'll hear songs that they're familiar with for sure.
Well, then it's neat to hear, again, the backstories from what inspired it and then them setting it free for another artist to sort of take and put their spin on it and then to hopefully take it to great heights, which any songwriter would love. You think about the business of songwriting being, you would think it'd be very competitive or dog eat dog. You wouldn't want to share, what you're thinking about. But the more I talk to musicians and artists in our state, you guys are like a small family and you're really rooting for each other and you don't look at it, like that way at all. Y'all really lean in on each other for help and inspiration. Would you say that's true?
Absolutely. My time in Nashville, being part of the songwriter community there, which I think the greatest songwriters in the world live in Nashville, Tennessee. And you're right. There, even though we'd all love to have that number one hit, it's very much a close-knit community where if somebody else gets a song recorded by a popular artist, we're all really excited about that. It's a very supportive community. I never did feel it being cutthroat. Very, very supportive. You know, we all just want to hear great songs, and really, really great songs, which are hard to come by. And again, which is another reason why I enjoy so much hearing the songwriters sit just for the guitar or piano. No production, you know, no trappings, nothing fancy, but just words and music that are put together by that songwriter, you know, sitting 4 feet in front of you. It's just a special experience.
And you're going to get a chance to hear 4 of you coming up this May. When's the date, Tricia?
It's Tuesday, May the 16th. I think that will be a week from today, wouldn't it? May 16th. There'll be a reception at 6 o'clock with a little food and beverage, and the show starts at 6:45. That's going to be at GRAMMY Museum, Mississippi, and I believe there are a few tickets left. Last I checked, they were getting few and far between, but people can check online at GRAMMYmuseumMS.org for tickets. And I really encourage people, if you're from out of town, come on up. I don't know how many more times this foursome is going to be able to get together and do it, but we're going to have fun on May 16th.
And it goes to benefit the GRAMMY Museum Mississippi. I saw particularly their education initiatives. How important is it that we still support those initiatives, not only going on at the GRAMMY Museum, but then also the work at Delta State with DMI? It feels like Cleveland's really, set itself apart on making music education or also just music being accessible to whoever wants it.
Oh, absolutely. I went to a small piano recital the other day and was reminded, even in my small hometown growing up, which only had 1,600 people in it, the biggest influence on me, other than my mom and dad, was my piano teacher. So I think it's so important to offer kids the opportunity to learn music, learn to play an instrument. You just had a young man on last week that's coming up this Friday who is the embodiment of that, is young Thomas Sanders, great piano player. To continue an education at Delta State and continue to learn about not only music but the music business.
I was fixing to say, you drop in piano words, I'm going to have to drop Thomas Sanders' name, which I connected back to you introducing me to his name and to get him on good things. Thank you for that. But can you imagine the impromptu concerts that downtown Cleveland's going to get once Mr. Sanders is a fighting okra and walking on your downtown and Main Street, and then just taking a seat and playing a little gig there on all of the pianos that are available?
Oh, absolutely. He's going to bring a fun dimension to the town, and but again, like you say, a young person with talent, finding a way to nurture that talent, give them the opportunity for education, which is one of the things GRAMMY Museum does, as well as Delta State.
Which he reminded me, or I reminded myself talking to Thomas, Tricia, I still owe you a chopsticks. So,
I'm ready. Anytime you're ready, come on up.
I'm going to have to brush up on it, but I will hold true to it eventually, and hopefully we'll make our way to Cleveland sooner rather than later. And you still got a week to sort, not a week to plan. You got a week to go to the Women in the Round, but you need to go now to get your tickets to see if there's any left or see what other events are happening at the GRAMMY Museum. So where do we do that, Tricia?
Go to their website at GRAMMYmuseumMS.org.
All righty. Well, I always appreciate your time, and I hope you the best for this event.
Well, thank you. You'll have to make it up to the next one, and I look forward to seeing you soon, Rebecca. Thanks for having me on.
What a cool event. Oh, man, that would be something awesome to go and sort of sit. Pam Tillis, you've got that. Ashley Cleveland, as she had mentioned, your Tricia Walker, that's right here in Mississippi. And those ladies just sitting there and hanging out and talking about their stories. That's like hearing an author talk about what moved them to write a piece that you so enjoyed. And when you think about songs being so much shorter than, say, novels, usually artists get the opportunity to write a lot, but only a few make it into the airwaves and that you hear. And so I think it's cool to be able to hear the stories behind that, as well as just some really good music. And so if you can, get out, get your tickets, go support it. But stick with us. We got some more good things for you.